Senator Roy Blunt was in Springfield today at a conference for women who own a small business. Good evening once again to you. I'm David Oliver.
And I'm Jennifer Abreu. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. Kolr 10's Madison Heaver has why the senator thought it was important for him to be at a women's conference here in Springfield. Madison.
Jen, Senator Blunt made a point to say that being there shows support for all of the women who either own a small business or are starting one up.
Most jobs are started by small business. Not every small business makes it every time, but by the end of that process, usually everybody who's willing to stick with it figures out how to make either their business work or the business that they discover while they're being an entrepreneur work.
Senator Roy Blunt gave the closing remarks at the SCORE E3 Women's Conference today. SCORE is a part of the Small Business Administration, doing workshops, one-on-ones, and conferences to help small businesses grow. Tim Bartholomew, the chapter leader, says the conference helps especially with the networking side of growing a business.
It's important because everything that they do in business it affects everything else that they do. So getting a good base of knowledge in the basics on how businesses work is really important to help these ladies to be successful.
Really find your right partners. Figure out what your business needs, focus on what that is, and eliminate the stress, take your time, and realize what's actually right for your business.
Huey also says it helps build women up.
There is a huge concept that women supporting women is needed. It's how we grow, it's how we support each other, and honestly, women are minorities in businesses, so it's honestly a great way to help grow that and help show that support. With surrounding yourself with the right people, you create the right team and allow yourself to truly grow, and by putting all these women in one place, I believe it truly creates opportunity.
She says she believes because Senator Blunt was there to show support, then that means the government is showing support of small business owners as well.
Honestly, it's nice to show that the state and the government and the community is truly behind small business owners, and I think that's what this truly shows by him being here.
A lot of people who work with me and for me are women. My chief of staff's a woman. The person who runs the policy committee for me is a woman. My communications director is a woman. My office manager is a woman. Joelle Cannon here in Springfield, who runs our Springfield office, is a woman, and women do a good job, and I benefit from that.
Blunt also talked about mental health and gun regulation. When asked why he talked about that at the business conference, he said it's because mental health needs to be addressed in the country, and women tend to make most of the decisions regarding health care.
All right, thanks, Madison. New at 10 tonight, an important decision in Hickory County on the future of big industrial farms known as CAFOs.
Yeah, Missouri Senate Bill 319. We've talked quite a bit about it. It's been set to take effect on August 28th, but it's now being put on hold because of a lawsuit. That bill would block counties from making ordinances against CAFOs.
Now, some residents are trying frantically to pass the health ordinances before September to restrict CAFOs. Our Jesse Inman was at a meeting this evening in Hickory County. Jesse, what did we learn tonight?
Well, guys, over the last few weeks, a Hickory County citizen named Bill McBrayer has spent some time trying to craft up his own ordinance to kind of put some more regulations on some of these larger feed and farm operations here in Hickory County. And he submitted that to the the county commission this past Monday. Now, rather than just rejecting this ordinance themselves, which they could definitely do if they had wanted to, the commission said that they wanted to take it to the public and see how it would be received there. And that's why they called a public meeting right here in Hickory County at Hermitage High School this evening, and Mr. McBrayer sat in attendance at that meeting tonight as hundreds of citizens, many of them farmers, made their stance clear. Now, 2 of the 3 commissioners said they opposed the ordinance, which garnered thunderous applause from much of the crowd, and really it comes down to the decision of the commissioners on whether or not they want to pass that ordinance based on what their constituents want. Now, we heard from Robert Sawyer. He's a member of the Cattlemen's Association here in Hickory County, and he says that there are no CAFOs in Hickory County right now, but this ordinance would have forced some of those farms into CAFO status, and he says that this was a show of unity from citizens tonight.
This is not just cattlemen, this is Hickory County citizens. This is people bonding together in Hickory County and putting a stance out that's saying we don't need more government to infringe on our personal rights and our property rights, and we don't need the government to tell us how to run our farms. But we also know that there's no one that cares more about this community, this land, this water than Hickory County Cattlemen.
Now again, the county commissioners made it clear before the crowd tonight that they would not be motioning this to a vote this coming Monday at their meeting. And even if they did vote on it, it would be voted on by the commission themselves. They would just vote it down as a no anyway. And so they don't support it, as did much of the crowd tonight. They didn't support it either. So pretty much this bill is effectively dead. Here in Hermitage, I'm Jesse Inman, Ozarks First.
All right, Jesse, thanks for the live report there. Now to medical coverage here at 10. We're learning more about an ongoing legal battle between a Branson physician and Cox Health.
In 2017, Dr. Charles Rasmussen sued the hospital and 2 other healthcare companies for what he calls Medicare fraud. Both Cox and the companies strongly deny this claim and call the lawsuit frivolous.
And according to the Springfield News Leader, court documents were unsealed earlier this year, and the lawsuit accuses the companies of making Medicare patients seem sicker on paper to get more money from the government. The lawsuit also claims that Cox gave doctors incentives to give patients unnecessary examinations, which increased their risk score. That would in turn close care gaps, and the hospital would get millions in Medicare payouts. This practice is called upcoding.
However, a spokesman for the companies Essence and Lumeris says the allegations are, quote, wholly without merit, and the government declined to intervene after a thorough investigation. Rasmussen says he was forced out of the hospital after bringing up the issue. He wants Cox to pay back the money, but the healthcare companies believe they are fully compliant with the law. The lawsuit is still pending in federal court. Last month, a judge denied an effort to dismiss the case. If a settlement is not reached, it could go to trial. Around the region tonight, a scare for university students in Joplin today after police got reports of a suspicious device. Police were called to the Royal Orleans Apartments on College View Drive around 9:30 this morning. A maintenance employee at the apartment complex called police after finding a possible pipe bomb in a dumpster. Authorities from Joplin, Jasper County, and even Springfield's bomb squad responded to the call. The device was later determined not to be explosive, and the students were allowed to return to the dorm. However, police say the investigation is ongoing.
And in Jefferson City, this 26-year-old man right here was charged with making a terrorist threat. This is Brian Groner. He was charged today after posting threats on his Facebook page. The Jefferson City News Tribune reports that the probable cause statement referred to one post that said, quote, "Your next mass shooter, Columbine, won't have an expletive on me." The posts were public, and more than 10 people reported them to police. Police also said that Groner was hostile when he was arrested, but he allegedly said he understood the gravity of his statements. We have new information here at 10 tonight on real IDs, the new form of ID you'll soon be required to have if you want to travel by airplane anywhere in our country.
You still have 1 year to make the change, but the TSA has a friendly warning to get it done before it's too late.
By next fall, if you don't have what's called a real ID, you won't make it past the airport security line.
You all have to have the gold star on your ID.
The Transportation Security Administration is trying to spread the word.
It's really interesting that people are actually reading the signs. They've actually come up and asked about it, which is exactly what we want.
After 9/11, Congress passed a law that increased security standards for state-issued driver's licenses and ID cards. This became known as the Real ID. If you see a gold or black star on the front of your license, you have a real ID. If it says something like federal limits apply, you'll need to update your license at your state licensing office. There's still over a year to go until the Real ID requirement kicks in, but right now only half of Americans have IDs that qualify. Others, like New Jersey, Oklahoma, Oregon, Kentucky, and Maine, have an extension on the rollout.
Moving on to weather coverage now. How are those storms looking out there, Beth?
Yeah, so we've got more shower chances tonight into tomorrow. These showers kept our temperatures well below average and about 10 to 12 degrees cooler than they were yesterday. We'll talk more on that, and we'll do timing and totals right after the break.